What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Imperfect, and today we are doing episode 12 with one of the greatest artists I think I personally know. Like, someone that's so diverse in so many things and does so much and has so much knowledge. I am genuinely excited to have you on the show today. This is Preston Lee Johnson. How are you doing, brother?
Dude, thank you. Thank you for that intro, man.
Yes.
Dude, I'm feeling great, man.
That's
Glad
good.
to be here, dude.
That's good. So Preston here has done so much. And one thing to note that makes me a little bit nervous, this man comes from a radio background, and so I got all the audio gear, and I'm like, oh man, he judging.
No, dude. I'm impressed. Like, I'm looking around and I'm like, wait, what is that? Maybe I need one of those. Maybe I need one of those, you know? Like,
thank you so much, brother.
Yeah.
No, I'm super excited to have you come on.
Thank you.
So yeah, I met Preston a while back because a guy by the name of Parker Kane, which is just does amazing things.
Good friend, yeah.
Yeah, good friend, does amazing things. You two were doing a music video and he needed dancers, and this was, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe?
Dude, this is a long time.
Long time.
Memory lane I'm talking about.
Yeah, so long story short, that's how I showed up to be a dance in the video project. We shot it, and through XYZ, the video never got premiered, but it was super cool to meet you guys and meet Parker, and that was a lot of energy.
Yeah, man.
And that was exciting. So, but I know you were doing music. I know you're doing radio. I know you're doing like all those big things. You're reading a lot. You tell me all these books that you've been reading. I want to talk about radio because that's before we even got the opportunity to do that video years ago. The radio thing was happening, and I was like, oh, like that sounds so familiar. When Parker was hitting me up, it's like, isn't that the guy on the radio? And as an early kid, you're like, that, like he's famous. Like,
Yeah.
Really, you are though. I mean, there's famous, but then there's like local famous. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, this is like
local
really
famous.
Yeah, I know it doesn't sound most exciting, but I mean, it's the step to becoming famous. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was like, man, this is really cool. So that's that first thing. So I know you did radio. So what even got you interested and got that job to be on that radio station?
So, I started out in college. So a little backstory. I've always had like weird situations that have drawn me toward public speaking and entertaining.
Really?
For example, when I was in high school, my first actual job where I filled out a like, what is it, like W-2, W-4 or whatever?
Right.
My first actual job was selling super chamois in the mall at a kiosk.
Really?
Yeah. So imagine for me for a second, we're in the mall.
Right.
And we're in the hallway. We're not in the
Right.
store. You got your, you've heard of ShamWow.
Yep, ShamWow.
Okay, so it's the
Oh,
same
yeah.
thing. Super absorbent towels.
Right.
And I've got like a little table in front of me, and I've got a glass dish on the right with water in it.
Right.
Sponge, regular sponge. My right hand, left hand had my chamois. Right, so I dip the sponge in the water, squeeze it onto the table, dry it with the chamois. Right.
Nice.
So I'm 16 years old. This is my first job.
That's cool.
And I would squeeze the water, dry it with the chamois, and there'd be people walking by in the mall, and they would gather around, and
Right.
and so I'd be like, check it out. This is the super chamois. Use it 2 different ways: dry for dusting and polishing on things you don't want to scratch or harm, like your glasses, CDs, windows, mirrors. They're also used damp to absorb. Made in Germany, the super chamois is going to hold up to 21 times its weight in liquid. It's machine washable, bleachable, and guaranteed to work like this for the next 3 to 5 years. You can take them outside on your cars, trucks, and boats. Like, I had it down, bro.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Can't believe you still remember it, dude. That's
I
awesome.
know. It's been like let's see, a decade and a half.
Dude, that's wild.
And it's still in there. Anyways, so my high school, I spent entertaining crowds of people in the middle of the mall. And so it's like, you would never connect that with radio.
Right.
Because it's like, what does that have to do with anything? But like, it's that idea of public speaking, being comfortable with yourself, being able to like kind of think on your feet while you're talking. And a lot of those skills transferred over
Right.
into radio. Had no idea that was going to work out that way. But it actually has helped me a ton. So shout out to Damon, my old boss, Jake, Chris, all my guys at Super Chamois. We killed it, man. But that has nothing to do with your question at all.
No, but hey, that's the background. That's the background. That's awesome. It is weird. It is weird. I mean, when we shot that video, I was a dancer, and I am way not a dancer. I want to be. I want to dance, but I mean, I don't do it daily. I don't work out daily. I don't, do all those things that I used to do. But I feel like the art that I learned from dance helped podcast and filmmaking because I know how to be on camera and direct. And so it's weird. It is weird how you kind of, it's, two things can be so separate, but you do learn things,
Transferable skills.
Transferable skills.
That's exactly what they're called, man. Absolutely, 100%. And so I was in school at BYU, Idaho, in Rexburg. It's freaking freezing all year round.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the summertime, it's cold. Actually, summers are pretty nice. But I just remember it being freezing always. And I honestly don't know how the first experience started with emceeing, but that's where it started, was emceeing campus events. And I think someone just asked me or something like,
right,
hey, I'm in charge of like this thing on campus, will you like just announce the people, like it'll be super easy and you just have to say their names and then like that's it. Right. And like so I went on stage, but I like had fun with it.
Right.
Like I wasn't just gonna announce their names. Like I wanted people in the crowd like to have a good time.
Right.
And so I like prepared for it and like, and I had like not jokes. I'm not a comedian, but like I had things to say and things prepared so that the crowd enjoyed themselves
right
during the show. And then it was just like one led to the other, and until I was like almost every weekend I was emceeing campus events.
Oh, wow.
Like Battle of the Bands. I suck at sports, but I was doing the slam dunk contest.
Dude, that's
and
cool.
Like all these shows, and I was the MC, man. So I started like rating freaking DI and stuff like that. So I had like costume, not like costumes, but like like sports coats. I was broke in college, so I had to go to DI. But bow ties. I had a whole kind of stuff so that when I showed up, I looked like the MC.
Dude,
like people
so cool. Yeah.
People knew who I was. And I got an email one day out of nowhere. I told you I was doing communications, studying communications. Got an email from some lady that worked at the school and was like, hey, our radio station has a job opening. I think you'd be great for it. You should apply. And I was like, radio, that sounds fun, man.
Right. That's awesome.
I was like, all right, let's try it, So I didn't even know our school had a radio station or anything, and applied for it, got the job, and that's kind of where it started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you started doing it in college. Yeah, because college campuses do have like radio stations. I found that out a couple of years at Idaho State. I was like, we have a radio station? So yeah, that's crazy. So how long did you work for them until you transferred into like was your first radio gig for 98.5?
No. So that was kind of into several years into it. So
gotcha.
Started at the school. And then I was like, I want to do this as a career.
Right.
It wasn't instant, but after a while, after seeing the type of things I would do on a daily basis, I was like, I'm going to pursue this. And so I did an internship with Riverbend Communications in Idaho Falls. And so I worked, it was a news internship. So I like wrote news stories and reported the news for their news station, which I don't think exists anymore.
All right.
Radio stations like to flip their
Yeah.
channels, you know, flip their stations into different formats. So I got my feet wet there. I did a second internship at KSL in Salt Lake City.
Oh, wow. Dang.
Yeah. And that was also a news radio internship. But I was always kind of bored by the news.
Right. Right.
And I mean, I loved writing and I loved being in radio, but I was like, I want to like tell a joke.
Right. Yeah.
Halfway through
be
this
more
story.
Entertaining. Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be like so serious and like somebody died.
And you're like, yeah, this person died. And you're like,
yeah.
That's heavy.
Every day, all day.
Yeah.
It was heavy, man.
Yeah.
And so I kept in touch with Brad Barlow. Shout out to Brad. Love you, man. He's a big time, long time personality on Z103 in this area, which is a top 40 station. He no longer works there. He decided to pursue his own thing, doing photography and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But I kept in touch with him because he was the program director of the top 40 station, Z103. And I just kept in touch over the years on Facebook. I sent him a message here and there. And then we were doing a tour of their radio station through one of my classes at school.
Oh, wow.
And so I was all acting like I was a big shot because I did my internship there, so I knew everybody. And so, you know, I was like, made sure I had everybody's names down. I'm like, yo, what's up? You know, shaking hands, like try to show off for my like the other college students with me. Right. And then I was like, yo, Brad, what's up, man? You know, shaking hands, like hugging and stuff. Like, oh yeah, me and Brad go way back. And everybody's like, oh wow.
That's awesome.
This guy's cool. Actually, they probably thought I was an idiot, but
you tried.
But yeah, you know, that's the important thing.
Right.
Is that I tried. But Brad, as we were leaving, Brad goes, hey man, what are you doing right now? And I was like, I'm touring your radio station.
Right.
He's like, no. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you working? Like, what's going on? And I was like, yeah, I got like a part-time job and, you know, I've still got, you know, like a year of school left. And he's like, I got something for you. And he's like, give me your email address. So then I left, had no idea what he was talking about. But he hooked me up with my first like job in radio, like commercial radio. And so he put me on the air on Z103, started on the weekends, moved to middays. And that's really where the fun started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's when you kind of got into the entertainment side of radio, which I'm sure was a lot more fun, you know, because doing heavy stuff like that, like news and things, can be heavy.
And it's perfect for some people.
Right.
But I got like some personality in there that needs to come out.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you finally got on the radio, which is exciting. I mean, what was it like? Like, what did it feel like to actually do the radio every day? Was it exciting? Was it, you know, like what was the feeling of it?
Once I got on Z103, it was like magic, dude. Like everything in your mind you imagine it would feel like is what it felt like.
Right.
So like I would get in the car with my friends because I would pre-record my show.
Right. And
I'd get in the car with my friends and I'd be like, guys, turn it up. And we'd like sit in the car and then we'd hear me and everybody would cheer and they'd be like, what, dude, you're on the radio. This is so cool. Man, that's so crazy. That's cool. So we would do that. And so it was like magical for like, I would say probably like a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like so fun, man. Just like, that's all I can think of is just like magical. Like
fun, energetic.
How's it possible that my voice is being broadcast to like literally 45 people?
40.
I'm just kidding.
I was like 45. There's got to be at like 45,000. Like
I don't know how many people, but
it's got to be tens of thousands.
There
man.
was at least 10 people who were listening.
And then there's at least 10. I got mom, I got cousin, brother. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is exciting. So what? How long did you work there for?
So I worked there for a few years, couple years, 3 years maybe. And then it's cool when you work in radio because you kind of become friends with all the other radio and media personalities.
Right. Yeah.
That was the cool thing about this town, about East Idaho, was that like people were cool. Like the other radio personalities were like friends with each other.
Right.
You know, and so I made a friend with Dusty, who used to be on Z103. He moved to Star 98. He was the program director at the time. And he asked me if I wanted a job at Star 98. And so I took it was a full-time job.
Right.
So instead of just working a few hours a week, I got a full-time job in radio still as a college student.
That's wild.
Which is insane.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like, especially nowadays when a lot of radio stations are struggling, I had a full-time job.
Yeah.
So it was fun, man.
That's interesting. That's super cool. So what, so I'm saying you worked with C103, right? Until you moved to Boise.
Until I moved to Star 98.
Star 98, yeah.
Then I was Star 98 for, like 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. And then moved to Boise.
And then you moved out to Boise. So where are you doing in Boise now?
So our company's Impact Radio Group. Shout out to all my peers at Impact Radio. So I work for okay. So if you're not familiar with radio, like some of your listeners might, watchers, what are they?
Watchers and listeners.
Okay.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
So all of the people that are watching, if you're not familiar with radio, a lot of companies will come in clusters, and so in Boise there's like 3 main clusters. I work for one of the main clusters, and we own 7 radio stations in Boise.
Oh wow!
And so all in one building, you've got the top 40 station, you've got the kind of like the oldies kind of music, you've got the country, you've got the rock, the alternative, and they're all in the same building. And so since we're all together like that, I work with almost all of them.
Right.
Doing different things. I'm on the air on Wild 101, but then I do a lot of behind the scenes work for all the stations.
Right. So you said you pre-record. So do you guys get to pick the music too? Like, how does that work? Like, when you have a music channel, like, do you just kind of play what's popular kind of thing, and then you pre-record, and then do you make like a whole show in a day, or how's it kind of play out?
Everywhere is a little bit different, depending on the size of your market. So, radio in a small town's a lot different than New York City. You know what I'm saying? Right. So everybody's kind of got their own way of running things, but generally speaking, the program director chooses all the music. So they, their job is to kind of, like do all the research. You know, they're watching all the charts, and nowadays it's more than just like media-based charts or Billboard Hot 100. They're looking at the Spotify charts, the Shazam charts. They're looking at, iTunes, YouTube.
Right.
And they're taking all this information and figuring out what are the hottest, biggest, most like monster songs, and that's what they play.
Okay.
And so it's they say it's 80% what is it? 80% science, 20% art.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For
big facts.
Putting together the playlist. So there's a little bit of like, oh, they're gonna love this one, even if it's not like dominating the charts yet.
Right.
There is a little bit of that.
Right. So they'll give you all the music pretty much. Like they'll do the research, then give you the music. Then do you go in and kind of just record it, all your in-betweens and then premiere it the next day, or do you premiere of the day?
Yes. Somebody just walked into the house, bro. And I'm like,
I was like, I forgot
to
tell
what
him.
do I do? What do I do? What's happening? Is this part? Is this the segment?
My bad. Fiance's in the building. Hi, love.
Hey. It's like, you've seen Ellen, right?
Yeah.
Where they got the person that jumps out of the box. I was like,
someone comes and scares him live. On this show, we scare people, yeah. Yeah, my bad. I forgot to tell you she's coming through. She does that sometimes.
No, it's good, man. It's good.
But yeah, so crap. So yeah, my question though is so they give you all the music and you have to go and record your voice because you have to kind of talk about what's about to play, what's going on, what a radio station does. But do you pre-record like a whole day's worth and prepare it the next day or the same day? How does that work?
So once again, it's a little bit different everywhere you go, depending on the type of show, the type of format. What I do for my show, so I'm on middays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Right.
So I'll go in, and I'm also a graphic designer. I'm also like I don't know what it's called. I want to say producer, but
Okay.
like I create imaging, and we can talk about what that is for radio stations. But basically what I'm getting at is I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that's not on the air.
Right.
So for my show, I'll go into the studio, and I will record my whole show in about 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
So it's a 4-hour show. I recorded it in about 2 hours. And what I'll do is I'll have my screens up in front of me, my computer screens up, and I'll have a mic kind of set up like this. And then I'll also have like my internet, my Google screen.
Right.
And I'll be doing research online. I'll be typing up little things to say. And then I'll record it kind of as I go. And then I also have our social media pulled up, Facebook, Twitter, whatever.
Right.
Excuse me. And then, so I'll be posting stuff at the same time I'm talking about it on the air, and then trying to like build interaction with our listeners, reply to some of them, record my next thing, and I'll go like that. And it takes about 2 hours for a whole day's show.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool though. So that's a day in the life of a radio station.
Yeah.
But I think that's a lot of, you hit it on the head when you say, when it's a lot of work behind the scenes, and then it's they hear a, probably 30-second blip in between a song or something like that, but they don't realize that you had to do that research, that you had to say it, and then you have to cut it in, and you have to do all that extra stuff. That's, I feel like, is a lot of this. It's very simple to sit down for an hour and a half podcast, but I have to find the guests, message the guests, find the topics, sit down, record it, which is great, but then I have to go edit between 3 cameras and an audio recorder, cut that all in.
And that's 3 times. So if this is an hour, that's 3 hours of content you got to go through.
It probably takes, probably 6 to 8 hours just to edit it, and then you got to post it, market it, advertise it, tag people, do all the social media work.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's really hard. So I definitely can relate. I don't know. I'm sure it's a little bit more complicated on your end doing radio and stuff like that, but I definitely understand that it is a lot more work behind the scenes than what is actually premiered.
For sure.
And shown. So
absolutely.
Definitely respect to that. But here's another big question, and I'm curious with the very first question. I know you do music, which is really awesome. I've heard a couple songs, and it's awesome. Did radio get you interested in music? Did you start music before, after? I'm assuming you got mics in your face. Probably natural to be like radio into music. How did you get into music?
So I mean, as a kid, my mom tried to get me into music because we lived in Nashville. That's where I grew up.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, and so like big music city.
Yeah.
And my mom tried to get me into it, and I remember taking harmonica lessons one summer.
Really? Harmonica though?
Yeah,
Like not guitar or any like the big ones?
Oh, we
Just-
tried those too. We
You did it all.
we tried piano. My teacher had me playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I was like, screw this, man.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, when am I ever going to play Mary Had a Little Lamb?
I know.
I was like 8, but in my mind, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, when is this ever going to apply? Like, when is this ever going to be fun?
Right.
And I think that's what I was missing. Like, I love my mom. Love you, Mom. Love you, Mom.
She watching.
Love you. Thank you for watching the podcast. Like, I know she put a lot of work into me, but for some reason, I just fought it. Like, as a kid, when it came to music, I just fought it. And so she kind of just gave up after, I mean, years of trying. But,
Yeah.
like, by the time I was a teenager, she's finally just like, all right, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah. It wasn't until college, once again. Well, okay. Little backtrack here.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had this weird talent to memorize lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll drive people crazy, like singing along to songs on the radio.
And it's just word for word.
yeah,
That's awesome.
like weird. Like, okay, this is gonna demonstrate how weird it is. Okay, so I'm Mormon. We've talked about this behind the scenes a little bit. I served a mission for my church for 2 years. Right.
Right.
One of the things that you are not allowed to listen to on your music is like secular music. Right.
Right. Exactly.
But my mind could not forget like the lyrics to every rap song the world has ever known. And
That
so
is
like,
so awesome.
so like I had they call them companions,
Right.
which is like you're like another person that goes with you to like teach people or whatever. So like some of my companions would be able to beatbox. And so we go walking down the street, we're all like dressed up. We got our name tags and our ties on, but my companion would be over here like beatboxing and I'd be rapping,
That's so wild, dude.
So we had a blast, man. But 2 years after not listening to songs, I could still recite entire songs.
That's so crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a talent.
Why?
I don't know. That's
Why
a
can I
talent,
do
though.
that?
I don't know. That's cool though.
It's crazy.
That is so wild. So you find you have this lyricism that you can just
Weird.
remember.
I wouldn't even call it a talent until now.
A curse.
Like, yeah, like
That's wild. That's
yeah, bro.
wild.
So in college, I really, if I'm being honest, I just wanted to pick up chicks.
Right. Heck yeah. Oh yeah.
And so like the way I did it was through humor, And so if I could make them laugh, I felt like, it was cool.
Yeah.
or
Translate.
whatever. And so I rewrote lyrics to Jay-Z and Alicia Keys' New York State of Mind.
Oh heck yeah.
In New York.
Yeah.
And I wrote it for Rexburg, and I rapped it for my roommates. They thought it was hilarious, man. They're dying laughing, and so I'm like, bro, let's go show the girls next door.
Oh no.
And so like we go over there, and then we're like, we gotta show you this. And so like I rap for them, and they're like laughing and dying. And I was like getting attention,
Right.
And I was like, man, what if we like try to put a band together? It was almost like a joke.
Right.
Like, what if we put a band together and like try to rap this for the school?
Dude.
And so we did it, man. Like I found a piano player, I found a drummer, I found a female vocalist.
Oh wow.
And these are like serious artists, and I'm just like making crap up in my dorm room. But we entered our school's like Battle of the Band show, and not only did we make it into the Battle of the Bands, but they wanted us to start the show.
Oh, dude.
And so like
That is so wild.
yeah, so like the energy from that show was just like so powerful to me that I was like, I got to keep doing this. And so it just kind of slowly grew over time. I kept practicing, kept writing songs, started doing original songs, and it just kind of grew into out of control.
Dude, that's awesome. So that's how you found out you're just lyrically talented, how to make a remix of one of those great songs, show the ladies. And so are you guys, is that band still going on? Are you still in the band?
Oh, no, man.
No, okay, so that is just kind of, okay, just making sure. But you did start, so that kind of transitioned into solo. So, because you came out with an album, correct?
Uh-huh.
You can't, and so is it full, like you fully wrote it, right? Like
Yeah, so I've done 3 mixtapes and an album.
And then the album.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of people were loving that. Like when you were sharing online, I saw the comments and I was like, dude, this is kind of wild.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So when it comes to writing music though, do you have someone make your beats? You just kind of go online, buy beats, things like that, or how intricate do you get with it?
I wish someone would have told me you can just go online and buy beats.
Yeah.
Dude, like 10 years ago, my life would have been so much easier because I spent years doing mixtapes.
Oh, man,
So
yeah.
like, which for people who aren't real familiar with hip hop or rap music, that's how artists will get started is mixtapes because you don't have the money to buy beats. So you essentially just take a popular beat from a song on the radio or one of your favorite artists. You get the instrumental without the lyrics, and then you write your own lyrics and you rap it over the top of someone else's beat. I remember I worked in the mall, like I was telling you, in high school, and dudes would come in there selling their CDs. And I remember the first rapper I bought a CD from, I thought I had gotten ripped off.
Really?
Cause like I was like, bro, that's Snoop Dogg's track.
Yeah, right? Like what is
you're
this?
just rapping your own lyrics over Snoop Dogg's track.
Yeah.
Little did I know, like that's actually how people get started.
Yep,
you know?
mixtape.
Yeah, and so I did that for several years, and then ended up I found a buddy from college who made beats, incredible. This dude nowadays is a superstar. He kind of a behind the scenes superstar, Randy Slaw. What's up, Randy? I'm
Big
shouting out
shouts
to everybody,
Yeah,
man.
big shout out.
We're shouting them out all day, bro. All day.
Okay.
But this dude has had, I think he said over 100 placements in like national TV shows. Wow. His music. He's a composer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he makes music, and it's been on like over 100 different TV shows and stuff like that.
Huge.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah. And so he was my producer for a long time. So I'd pay him, he would make the beat for me, and then I would rap over it.
Right.
So
that's how that kind of went. And did he do the majority of your album, I'm assuming?
Yeah, majority of my album, a majority of the recorded music that I have is mostly Randy Slaw.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's cool when you can actually like make a connection with somebody, because once you do, then you can kind of like actually grow together, let alone like you are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and you learn each other's style, each other's workflow, and then you can be more efficient, put out music quicker.
Exactly.
And the only problem is I never had that much money. So
yeah, that's a struggle. It's a struggle. I don't know. So our third episode was with a guy named Talented, which is a rapper, and a big note for him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and he's I can't remember how old he is. I think he's like 21, but he's a really cool dude. But he opened up for Futuristic last month. Yeah.
Last month?
Yeah.
Wow,
when
dude.
Futuristic came through, and that was
To
pretty.
Pocatello?
He went to, I can't remember if it was Pocatello. No, I think it was Idaho Falls. I can't remember.
Okay.
But he did come through, and his manager got him this gig, and so he got to open up for Futuristic, which was pretty wild.
That's awesome, man. He's big time.
Yeah. So he's making it, but I mean, same thing. The struggle is real when when it comes to beats, and some of his beats are YouTube beats and remixing and trying to like redo it. So I mean, that's why I was curious, because it is kind of hard. But when you find someone that can actually write music or make music, that's awesome. That's a really good start. Really helpful,
100%.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but making this album,
Is my mic close enough?
Yeah, no, you sound good.
Okay. Cool. I just didn't want to do this whole thing and then later be like, oh, frick, man,
this
my
thing
mic.
happened. Yeah, that's my biggest nightmare, believe me. But so you make music, which is wild. So after you launched your album, did you do anything like touring? Did you do like what did you do?
So here's the thing, man. Music is hard.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Music is really, really hard. And I don't mean making music, because making music is fun.
Right.
But making a living off of music is really, really hard.
Right.
And even making any money at all off of music is really hard.
Yeah.
So I kind of got discouraged with my music, man. Like, because I put my heart and soul. Like,
into music.
I started out just joking around, but I got very serious. Mm-hmm. And like, I was entering contests, I was doing shows, I was putting out music regularly.
Dang.
Marketing, doing all this stuff, reaching out to other artists. Like, I won a contest in Utah, won $500 in cash.
Damn.
And so like I was winning awards and contests. So I was like really hustling.
Right, really grinding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, you know, I kind of just like used up all of my energy making the album.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I got discouraged, and I just like kind of just like I had this beautiful piece, what I consider a beautiful piece of work that's like my heart and soul. You know, I spent like $3,000 like
making it,
getting it made.
And that sounds that's cheap, bro.
for the music, yeah, for the music world, that's nothing. But like for me, funding it
that's
myself,
everything.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so I got it done, but then it was just like it took all my energy, and for a long time, I just like I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't print CDs.
Yeah.
I didn't promote it. I didn't tour, do shows, because like it just sucked all of my energy out.
Right. So did you premiere it though? What happened when you finally finished it? Like, did you put it on Spotify, all those things?
I did, yeah. So I put it on online. So I guess I finished. I have this weird thing, dude, in my mind. Like, I have to finish projects, and if I don't finish something, then I like beat myself up about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so like, I guess I just realized this just now talking to you. like I've kind of been beating myself up about this project. Like, I had no idea, bro.
Right.
Like, but I really put my heart and soul into that, and then never like promoted it. And so I've been beating myself up about it. But
no, dude. I totally understand. Like, this is imperfect, dude. We are imperfect people. Like, I'll plug it as much as I can, but it is hard when you make something. That is a huge, huge reason why I switched careers from being a dancer I didn't even dance that long. Most dancers start 3-4 years old. I started at 15. I was way, way out from the flexibility and all that stuff. So I did hip hop. But I loved hip hop 15, and then I went to college professionally. Did 3 years professionally in college trying to do a hip hop or a dance career, and that's why I was doing music videos with you guys and trying everything and anything I could do. I was, of course, paying so much out of pocket, and you know. And then I got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna put everything, same thing as you. Like, it was fun at first, but I'm gonna invest my time, my money, my energy into this. And I found a really high end videographer that owned a business, and hired him to shoot professional dance films. And those cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And it was until the point that I went to New York when I kind of really started like kind of switching over to New York, shot this dance video, and I spent really so much. It was like a vacation, but I did a lot of it like to shoot while we were out there, and did all that, got back, released it. To this day, that video has like 110 views. And
Dang,
and that's how a lot of my professional films went. I try to get more intricate with it, more storyline, more narration. And just after so much money, time, energy, and effort, it was a little bit over a year ago, well, maybe 2 years now, but I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I've done everything I can. I dance everywhere I can. I did a series where I danced around the United States, danced in like 8 different states, and made videos in each, and just did anything and everything I could. From like from the little free stage of the Blackfoot Fair, all the way out to whatever. Just anything and everything I could possibly do. But still, I never made a dime doing any of it. I never got any kind of traction. The most I could say from any of it is I got 9,000 followers on Instagram, but still only hit like 40 to 50 likes a post.
Bro, hold on. No, we're going to pause for a second. You got 9,000 followers on Instagram?
At some point, it was at like 10,000, almost 11,000.
That's insane, bro.
At some point, but now when all this was going down, never made money, I was just like, I'm going to start shooting videos because it was a bigger click anyways because it was like more creative. I can be more intricate and control things. I realized shooting those professional videos, I like to be on camera, still do, but I love the writing, directing, acting, filming, lighting, editing, music. I loved all of that so much more, and I can control so much more of the product. So that's what got me behind the camera and kind of building my film business. But and then when I did that and it was like, hey, I'm a filmmaker now instead of a dancer and all that kind of stuff, just went downhill. I lost a couple thousand followers. The likes went way down, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
So the whole point is just to say I relate to that.
Yeah.
And if people, and most people probably couldn't, when you really, really put so much energy, and I'm talking about multiple, but I like that was my album, was going to New York. Like that was, I planned this whole trip. Here's all these angles, these famous spots, top of the World Trade Center, inside the old the old World Trade Centers, going to Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty. We're gonna hit all these and we're gonna shoot all over this, and then to get back, edit it for weeks, post it, and get to 110 views. It's
like a slap in the face.
It was a huge slap in the face, and looking back at it now, maybe I didn't maybe I didn't market it, maybe I didn't advertise. I definitely probably didn't, because I wasn't even in communications. I didn't even know what marketing advertising was. I thought you just posted to Facebook and Facebook will tell your friends and family. No, it's the algorithm doesn't work like that.
That's not how it works.
And I think that's the hardest part is there's so many people that make great products, but that making a great product is completely different than getting that product to somebody. That's where the struggle is. That's where it takes master's degrees in marketing to reach that audience.
Yeah.
So I definitely it's a struggle. It's really, really hard to make something that, even your friends or cousins are like, oh, you did that? And I'm like, did that? What? I posted about it like 30 times this month.
Yeah. I've been like dedicating my life to this, and you're just now hearing about it.
Yes. Exactly.
Yo, I quit that like 7 years ago, and you're just now seeing it.
Literally.
I feel you, man.
Literally. Yeah. It's a struggle, man. But I did listen to a couple of songs. I gotta say, they are really, really fucking good.
Thank you.
They
man.
are so amazing, and it's.
Thank you.
It is. It's definitely, maybe, I don't know if it's artistic or because I know, maybe a little bit of the tech world market, like all that kind of stuff that I'm like, I appreciate it a lot. But like when you listen, you're like, this is really good. Someone genuinely put this out and put in a lot of heart and effort. Like it's good stuff. So I just want to give you that shout out at the very least, because when it is good feeling that like when somebody does listen or watch, even my dance videos from years ago, a friend will stumble on it, or a new friend will like, dude, I didn't know you dance. That's so good. Like, dude, you should get back to it. I'm like, well, you should have told me that before I quit.
Yeah. But dude, like, I wanna see the good in our situations. Like I feel like we're having a moment, that's like, man, life sucks, like, dude, I totally feel you. But right. Think about like the good though. Like, you had 11,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That was good.
Like, how many people that are watching this right now have 11,000 followers on Instagram? None. Yeah. Maybe one. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
No, I totally agree. There's definitely,
and then like you got to go to New York, man, and you got to have you have these stories you can tell like future generations.
Exactly, I think you're like, yeah, the good things, the highest things. I got to meet a couple people because of the grind, celebrities, and there's a lot of cool things that I got to do. But I think the really greatest thing about all of it, and this is like the best thing, is that those skills that transfer over. Is there's so much that I learned being in front of it and feeling the pain when I work on a music video or these things. Like now I'm like, okay, now do I know how to shoot this thing, make the best product it can possibly be, but now I know when it's done, I have a lot better skills of how to market, advertise, and get this out to people. That way I know how much energy this guy may have put into this music video. I'm gonna replicate it, I'm gonna capture it, I'm gonna edit it, make it. But now it's my job to get it out to people and advertise, boost posts, reach audiences, and etc. So there was a lot of like both sides. Now I learned a lot from being in front of the camera, so I know I can relate to whatever I'm feeling, even weddings, all the way down to a music video. Like I can direct people like, hey, I know how it looks like to be on thing. You may be nervous, but listen, this is how we fix it. So I think you're right. There is a lot more positives than negatives, but it is kind of a balance.
It's hard for us though.
Yeah.
to see that like the positive parts of it.
Mm-hmm. Especially during.
Yeah.
Looking back, awesome. I love my dance career. I'd still dance if I still got opportunities, but at the time, and you post it, and first day, okay, a couple of views, and weeks and months, and it's like it's only at 52 views. This is my life.
Yeah.
Like I just wish I had a best friend that went behind the scenes and refreshed the YouTube page. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, 400 views. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you though.
Yeah, it's a struggle, but yeah, back to I love the album. It's still really good. I guess the big question is, do you feel like you're gonna make any more music?
100%. I'm making music right now.
Okay,
dude.
so we still
on the way here,
dude,
bro.
Here we go.
On the way
Heard it
here.
on Imperfect first.
On the way here, I stopped at the gas station, and I was Can they see my thumbs? Yeah, they can.
They got your thumbs.
This is me texting. Actually typing an email.
Oh, Lord.
On the way here, I was typing an email to another artist on a song that we're working on right now.
Heck yeah.
That thing, like my part's done. We're just waiting on his verse. And then we got some production we got to do. But then I've got that song. I've got a second song I'm working. There's this kid. He's 13 years old. He's a producer out of Boise. His name's Kamiras. And I heard his stuff. Like people send us stuff all the time at the radio station. And like, I just like roll my eyes. I'm like, here we go again. Here's another person.
Yeah.
But I actually listened to this kid's stuff, and like I heard one of his beats, and I was like, I've got to rap over this.
You gotta get this done.
So his dad and mom brought him into the studio. I gave him a tour of the radio station, and we kind of clicked. And so we're working on a song together right now.
Awesome.
With a 13-year-old producer.
That's awesome.
And dude, it's fun to give back.
Yeah. That's
something that I'm just now starting to experience, is that for some reason people look at me and they think that I have something to offer.
Right. Yeah,
that sounds really sad, but like that's how I think in my mind. Like you reaching out to me, I was like, man, like that's really flattering that someone thinks I have something to offer.
You definitely do, dude.
Thank you, man. But giving back to like the younger people who are into, like, I don't know if you've had any experiences like that where someone wants to learn how to dance or shoot videos or something, but like he wants to know what I know about song structure and what I know about different types of ways that people call you while you're doing interviews and stuff. Like he wants to know about. I'm just kidding. But it's like cool to give back, basically.
Right. No, I love that, and I think that's the great thing is you learn, you experience it, and you have it would have been so much different. I bet you could totally agree with when your first song or when you first did whatever. If you could just go back and be like, just give them a day's lecture. I would have been like, focus more on the dancing. Forget the production. Forget the background. Forget the famous whatever. focus on the dancing and then learn how to market it.
Yeah.
That way, like, I would have been like, oh, okay. And rather than, instead of focusing so much on this and this and paying this guy and this, I should have focused on the roots, because at the end of the day, it's about the dancing, not about the sets, production, outfits, whatever, But yeah, to give that knowledge though to at least someone else that's coming up, I definitely could agree. I haven't had experience yet, but that's awesome that you are giving it back. So
Yeah.
I love that. And I'm excited to hear those songs, bro. I'm excited to see them drop. You're going to have to let us know when you drop it and let it all out and all that kind of stuff.
For sure. Will do, man.
Heck yeah. Another thing you mentioned that I kind of want to talk about, which I know we have some thoughts about, is debt.
Yeah.
You told me you were reading a book about it, and I want to hear what this book's about, your thoughts about it, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. So, Total Money Makeover. Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey. Okay.
Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
You've heard of him?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm all about it right now, man. Like I mentioned I have a second job cleaning floors at nights. I throw on my earbuds and I listen to Dave Ramsey for like 2 hours straight every time I go into work. And
that's cool.
And I am all about getting debt free. Taking control of my money and my situation. Me and my wife have been working together like hardcore on this, and we're like halfway. We've got a chart on our refrigerator of how much money we owe. We've paid all our bills except for one of our cars and our student loans, and we've got a chart on the fridge. And every time we pay off $100, we get to like fill in the little box.
Oh, and that's cool.
And so yeah, man, I am all about it right now. And like I realize that I don't make a large salary, so I have to be smarter than the average person with the money that I have.
Right.
And that requires being diligent, being smart, and being disciplined.
Right. Totally agree. Yeah, debt can, one thing for me is you can, this is common. I don't know if this is a real quote or whatever. I just saw it on Facebook, normal memes. But I read something that most people don't even know how much debt they actually have.
Yeah.
So basically saying they don't know. And I believe that because you ask my friends, like, how much debt you have, in school so far. Like, oh, I don't know. It's like, I just take out all the loans.
See, that's crazy.
That's so crazy.
It's normal. But it's crazy.
It is.
If you think about it.
It's so insane. It's like you owe so many people and so many businesses and these things money, and you don't even know how much, let alone, that's the worst part. Is like, even if you knew how much, do you know how much the interest is? Because that's more important, because when it does come to those smart things, what you pay off first, you want to be paying off like this thing that's like 0.5 interest when you have a 25% interest credit card hitting you every month. So you have to know these things, and it's like, how do you not know?
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking is debt can be a very dreadful, painful thing to think about and to stress about. But again, that's another great idea to even think about. Visually having, we have a whiteboard upstairs that we keep our monthly bills on. Just so we put a next what bills we paid for, what's next, what paycheck needs to be delegated to what. But I like that idea of having like the full payment. That way it's like, I just know I have to pay $25 to this, and exit out. Rather than it's like, oh, actually, when we do have that whole thing, I can kind of visually see, and it's like, oh, maybe I get a big gig or something like that. I'm like, oh, look, there's only $800 left. I got paid $1,000. Let's just fill this in, and that way I can visually see it. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, just one way we've done it, but it's. There's a lot to learn about money, about debt, and about conquering debt and building wealth. But I would highly recommend The Total Money Makeover, another book. They don't pay me anything, but I still recommend it.
They should.
They should pay me, man. They should pay me.
They should pay you.
But,
yeah, that's super cool. I'm definitely have to check into it. I know it's just a little something I wanted to mention, because that is something I think a lot of people just don't even know. And so I feel like a lot of people could really benefit from this book, myself included, as I said, I want to get into reading more, but that's my first wake up call, was just saying, how much debt do I actually have? And going in, and even I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Like, I've been paying for my school a little bit as I'm going in, which most, some people don't do, but I'm trying to pay minimize my amount of loans pulling out. And I'm like, I still have X amount. And I'm like, that's surprising. But now I'm like, okay, I'm conscious of it. I have the apps and the banks downloaded on my phone, so I can consistently make sure everything's accurate, because you never know. I mean, just like my friend, like, oh, I just got my check and I went and used it. I'm like, what if, like, they pulled out, like, a 30% new interest thing on that thing you signed for the new FAFSA or whatever? Like, oh.
People don't even take the time to, like, know.
Exactly. The two things you need to know is basic things is just your interest and how much money. Those are very two basic things. You can get into, like, oh, when it's going to be paid off and blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, the principles is where it's at. So,
yeah.
A little shout out from Preston and Gage right here, just so everybody knows. Check your debt.
Check yourself.
Check yourself.
Before you wreck yourself.
Yeah. Before we close this whole thing out, I got one last topic for us that I'm from another artist I am excited to hear. And you mentioned it, but we didn't talk too much about it, but anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
So the very first question I'm going to start us off is, do you have anxiety and depression?
Yes, man. Yes. Big time. And what I found is that it manifests itself differently for different people. I've found that if I had a whiteboard, I would draw it out for you, because, like, I've been I go to a psychiatrist. I don't have a psychologist right now, but I have in the past. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. Everybody needs, like, a counselor.
Yeah.
Like, someone they can talk to about, like, really hard, really deep stuff. Because everybody struggles mentally. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it makes sense to go to the doctor when you're sick physically, but what about when you're sick mentally? Mm-hmm. It's just a normal part of our human condition. But for some reason, we don't really spend as much time taking care of ourselves mentally.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that's on the ball. That I don't even think I've ever even putting that way, but you're right. There are times when you're mentally just in a rough place, especially, like, if losing of jobs or someone passing away. Those are very hard. I haven't witnessed depression very much, praise God, but anxiety I have. And more so, like, it was something that was, now I can see a lot of my childhood kind of coming back and things like that, the basic things. But when I noticed it was, a couple events happened in my life, and just within the last, 4 or 5 years. But I mean, it used to be this guy that was like, get up on a dance stage and would just win over a crowd and just dance and perform. You see me perform?
I've seen you perform, man.
Dude.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was like all the energy, but through a couple of things and all this kind of stuff, I got to a point where anxiety was not really taking over. And it got to a point where, even to this day, where it's like, I'll go to a store and it's like, especially like Black Friday and these things, like, I feel like I can handle it, and I always screw myself because I go and then I'm just like, I'll have to, like, go outside, wait in the car, like, let the fiance do her thing, and then kind of thing, because it is, my anxiety is more, it's just people. And it's not even just random people, it's family. Like, I can go to a family thing and there'll be just 30 family members, and there'll be so much talking and yelling and people moving and throwing and talking. It's so much, and I'm just like kind of in the corner trying to be quiet, and then your family's like, why aren't you talking to us? You don't like us anymore? I'm like, oh man. And then your anxiety doubles,
man.
and you're just like, oh
yeah.
No, I'm not because I don't like you guys, like, you're my family. It's just they
don't know what's going on inside your mind.
Exactly.
Man.
And that's definitely what I come to, is talking. I've been telling more and more family, and just kind of like, this is how I'm feeling, just so this is why I'm acting this way, especially like my mom and people, so they can kind of adjust to that, I guess, a little bit. I'm not trying to, like, ruin the mood with all the family, but
right.
It's a really tricky line,
Yeah.
But so have you found, so you mentioned visiting the counselors and people, do you take any kind of medication?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is doctor prescribed or over the counter?
Well,
I don't mean like.
Is it like illegal?
Sorry, no, I don't mean the illegal stuff. The reason this
you smoke a little Mary Jane? Are you gonna admit this on camera?
No, do not. No, oh Lord. This is
that's what it sounded like. I'm just messing with you, but like that's what
I was like, oh wait a minute, did I just ask if he smokes weed? Oh my Lord, I'm sorry.
No, like I hear you. So I take antidepressant. I take anti-anxiety. It kind of like it's crazy, man. Like, so for people who've been in this situation, you go to your psychiatrist and you sit down and you talk to them and you tell them what's going on in your mind and with your body and stuff and how you're feeling. And then it's like, all right, let's experiment on you.
Yeah.
And they give you a medication and they make their best educated guess. And some medications work, some don't work.
So you adjust.
Some make you worse.
Oh yeah.
And my wife keeps calling me. I'm gonna debut my wife on the podcast. Hey babe, you're live on the podcast. Hold on. How are you?
I'm doing so great.
Nice. We're just getting into like a really serious topic about anxiety and depression, and so, but I wanted to feature you on the podcast because I love you.
I love you too.
We're almost done.
I'll call you back here in a minute, okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye. I just felt bad because like I know she'll worry about me, like because the roads are icy and stuff.
Definitely
so.
answer.
Yeah. But so the doctors kind of experiment on you, and if you do it if you go to the doctor long enough, it can make you feel like you're a science experiment.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that didn't work. Let's try another pill. Let's see what this does to you.
You have to adjust.
It's like, oh yeah, let's try this out. I have no idea if this is gonna make you like gain like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
In just a few months. I have no idea if this is gonna make you not be able to sleep for several days in a row. I have no idea if this is gonna do, all of the like thousands of side effects that are listed.
Mm-hmm.
But let's try it. Like, just do it.
Yeah, you have to go back and
like,
forth. So how long did you start taking pills prescribed by your doctor?
So it's been several years.
So do you think, this is a really important question for me and most likely others, but do you think you're at a point now that you know what pills work and you're feeling pretty good, or?
Yeah. So thank goodness, after feeling like a lab rat,
right.
My doctors and I found kind of like a concoction of stuff that seems to work for me.
Perfect.
And basically what medicine does is it levels the playing field.
Right.
So for someone who doesn't struggle with any type of
mental
illness or just mental whatever, stressors don't, like, they stress you out, but they don't like make you like
go into a deep place.
Yeah. And so basically taking medicine just levels the playing field, makes it even with other people.
Right. So yeah, I haven't been to, like I said, I don't have depression. I had a guest come on here and talk about anxiety, and we discussed, do you think it's possible, because honestly I'm curious, and I'm in a point with counselors and actual doctors and things, and kind of learning and growing with the subject as well. But do you think, and on an anxiety side, do you think it's possible to fix it mentally yourself? Or do you think it is something that you can't? Like it is, you need medication, you need physical things to help you?
It's a mixture. It depends on the person. It depends on the stressor, and it depends on the type of medication.
Okay.
So, 100% changing your thoughts and exercising
Healthier
and
things.
eating right.
Mhm.
100% that makes you be in a better place mentally. Doing
Right.
like taking care of your physical body will also help mentally. Exercise releases dopamine in your brain, which will make you feel better and will reduce anxiety. But there are some people, there are some situations where no matter what you do, it's not enough. And that's where hopefully that's where the medication comes in. Some people jump in too soon, where all they really need is just to exercise regularly.
And change some habits. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's other people who jump in too late, where it's like, I've felt horrible for years. Like, I had no idea I could smile. Like, I had no idea I could be happy. I had no idea I could like go to family gatherings and like have a conversation with someone. Like,
That's awesome, man.
like for some people, it's just like, I remember, dude, I did a summer job in West Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains I was a zip line tour guide.
Oh, cool.
And I remember I would jog. I would run a 5K every night. Not like every night, but like several nights a week. I was in like incredible shape back then.
Right.
So I remember I had just started a new medication and I was jogging and I saw the leaves on the tree and it was so beautiful. Like it was so beautiful that I just started crying. I was like, I feel happy. And it wasn't like I was high.
Right.
It wasn't like I had just like smoked a blunt.
Mary Jane.
and I was like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh,
but it was like I feel happy.
Right.
And it had been so long that I cried. I was like, dang, bro, I've been missing out on life.
Right.
If I like there's so much beauty around us. And I cried, man.
That's awesome. So it's good to hear that from someone saying like anxiety, like someone that has anxiety. Like it's good to hear that there is that ultimate place. And I don't think I'm pretty mentally aware, I feel like, and I can grow and fix things, but I know there's definitely a lot more work to do. And that is like a lot of fixing the past and, forgiving and just, everything that anxiety and depression can bring. But that's where I was with my friend, or when he came on the podcast, that's what we were discussing is if it could be medically treated or for his thing. But definitely what I'm hearing is no matter what, you want to change habits. You want to be the best human being you can possibly be, which is what we always praise on the show, is just to go to the roots and be that great human being. And then if you still aren't feeling great, and then take it further to medication and things like that. And I've tried over-the-counter medication, definitely helps. And I think that whole lab rat thing, I think that's just a huge part of it, man. Like, it's just that balance of, man, like I'm taking these medication, it helps so much, but now I'm gaining weight. So now I got to exercise and kind of weighing all those things to make sure it fits. Because we're not talking about everybody, obviously. You can't fix everybody. Everybody take this one pill and all y'all anxieties will go away. It all stems from different situations. So it's really cool learning, though, that you've got that happiness. And that's really just awesome to know that you can experience life to the fullest. And I hope everybody can find that level one day of finding the past depression and anxiety and so many of these mental illnesses that are arising, during this era. And so that's awesome, man. Just makes me feel good. It makes me feel good, bro, that you're doing good mentally and physically. So, but Preston, thank you so much for coming on,
dude.
Man. Thank you
this was awesome,
freaking
man.
much.
I'm like totally impressed with your setup, your equipment, the way you handled yourself during the interview and the questions, and like, dude, I am way impressed.
Well, thank you so much, man. Wanted to invest something, like with the dance and the filmmaking, I wanted to invest in something that I personally think can not help people, but just help people, just educate,
Create value.
exactly, educational entertainment. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I knew when I saw all the stuff from when we first met to now and the journey you've been on, I wanted to share a couple of those things and with everybody. So I'm just happy you came out, man, and thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. I'm cutting that in.
Yeah. DJ Preston Lee on the track. Imperfect podcast. Do you have like a saying for your podcast?
I need to. Make one up.
You are rocking it with Imperfect.
You were rocking it with Imperfect.
That's so late. I don't know if you should use that.